Hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, or anxious about your art, this will help. And as you watch me draw this today, learn the most powerful analogies that will ease all of your anxieties, calm your mind, and offer you a different perspective on things. Because this is exactly what you need to hear. Now, have you ever considered that making art is a lot like baking? And let's just put this into the context of, instead of you laboring over that particular artwork, that thing that you're trying to make, that character that's really dear and precious to you, imagine that you're just baking a cake for a second here, okay? And what do you have to do first? And think about all the processes involved in that one. Well, in the same sense, like just imagine if you were a baker, and you just started cracking eggs and you're like, oh God, I suck. It's the worst possible egg crack ever. And then you throw in your sugar and your flour and you're like, oh, this is disgusting. You take a spoon, you eat it, and you're like, this is gross. And then you go ahead and you pour it into a pan, and you're like, this is the crappiest cake in the world. And then you go ahead and put that thing in the oven and you pull it out 10 minutes too early. And then it's just a melting pile of half mush. And you're like, oh God, this is terrible. And then you go ahead and take it out and you're like, oh, this doesn't look pretty. This doesn't look great. This doesn't look professional. And so in the same sense, just what I want to offer you is that what you're doing is you're being way too critical of everything that you're doing at every step of the process. And I just want to help you understand this, is that everything looks bad now. Everything looks bad exactly where you are at this current moment in time. And that is perfectly normal. There's a lot of reasons why that happens and why we're going to go over that in this video today to help you out with this one. Now, here's the good part though. Once this happens, you're blessed with that understanding of, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Why am I feeling overwhelmed at this? And first off, have you ever considered, is it even your art's fault? Because we need to discuss that too. And if you do recognize it is your art that's stressing you out because you don't know what to do, you have three options. You either look up some resources within a reasonable amount of time, you can reach out to somebody who's much better than you as an artist, or number three, you can go ahead and just kind of mess around until you figure it out. But one of those three avenues will definitely lead you to exactly where you want to go. But just recognize that you might be overly critical at every single part of your process right now, because right now it's ugly and every artist passes through that ugly phase. And are you just being overly critical at how it's looking right now instead of focusing on what you need to do right now? Next, I want you to imagine that you went out to a nice steakhouse and they just go ahead and they put a steak right in front of you. What you're doing when you're getting stressed out and you're feeling overwhelmed about the artwork that you're working on, the state of your artwork, and what you currently think that you need to do, can't do, or have to do, and then you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling a level of dread about that. Am I right? Is that it's almost like you put that steak in front of you and you just look down and you're like, oh my God, like how am I gonna do this? I can't just pick that thing up and just put the whole thing in my mouth. How am I gonna do this? Like, nobody sits down at a plate of food and says, oh Lord, how is this ever gonna happen here? This is gonna take so much time. I don't know how this is all gonna work out for me. No, you don't do that, friend. What do? You cut it up. You take it into bite-sized chunks. And in the same sense, that's why you're feeling stressed out about your artwork. Have you ever considered that you're just not looking at it in terms of what are the smaller steps? Yes, right now, it might not be favorable for you. And we'll talk about that and why your expectations are playing into this in a moment. Think about this. What are the actual things that you need to accomplish? Because if you're doing an entire illustration, it might be like, oh God, well, the characters, the background, the lighting, and this and that, and this and the prop, and even just talking about this is kind of trigger your anxiety right now thinking about this. And so, my friend, I just want to encourage you to think about this. Don't look at it in terms of the whole. If you take a look at it in terms of the whole, it's always very overwhelming and daunting. Let's just focus us in here. What are some minor things I need to do? Okay, well, I need to work at the hair. I can do that. I need to work on the face. I can do that. I need to work on this part of the background. I can do that. I need to work on clothing over here. I can do that. And if you start to actually tackle it and you just break it down, this is a really good strategy for you. And one of the things I really like to do is to just go ahead and itemize everything. And you can do so one of two ways. You can either go ahead and just create an entire checklist of it and you get a lot of satisfaction off checking it off. Or number two is, if you're more type B, then you can go ahead and just put sticky notes and just put them like all around your wall or something like that. But go ahead and develop a strategy so that you see it in pieces and not as a whole. How's that? Now, I don't mean to give you so many food analogies, and I've got more that are way non-food analogies coming up real soon, but I just want to go ahead and place this on you too. When you're done with dinner, do you ever sit down after that dinner And then think to yourself, oh my God, this whole eating thing, man, I gotta do it tomorrow. I gotta wake up, I gotta have breakfast. Oh my God, like, I just finished all this chewing. I have so much more chewing to do. I have so much more digestion to do. No, of course you don't do that. You don't get stressed out about the next meal. But where this plays into what you're currently experiencing right now, just to illuminate this, friend, you are overly consumed with what it doesn't look like yet. And yet is a very powerful place, but it's also a very disempowering place to be as an artist, if you ever considered that. So this will just kind of shine a light on a big issue that I tend to notice with a lot of artists. And just to be honest, you're never gonna fully shake this one, my friend. But it's about your expectations, okay? And you're always going to have higher expectations than you will have ability. And this is naturally the state of the artist, okay? Because your mind is gonna be always focused on the next point and the next level and what it could be. And then your abilities slowly rise up to that. But when you're focused on what it is not yet, that puts you in a very volatile place. And you tend to think to yourself, well, this isn't what I want. I'm not able to do this. I'm not talented enough to do this. I don't think I'm capable. I'm not built like so-and-so. And do you hear what I'm doing? I'm forcing myself into a negative comparison trap here, okay? And so what I want to encourage you to do is to, along with the other strategies in this video, is to go ahead and just recognize it, that you're just not happy with it yet. Maybe you're not totally energized about it yet. Maybe it's not in a good place where you can show it off to everybody like you think you need to do all the time online, but you really don't yet. Instead of you just saying to yourself, it's not good, it's not ever going to be good, I'm not ever going to finish this yet. So what if you instead started to adopt this mindset shift of, it's just not that it's not good, it's just not to your expectation yet. And on that note of expectations, what we constantly want to do as artists is never, because you'll never ever do this, you'll never ever meet your expectations. What we want to do is start to bring them closer together. And you'll never have them meet and touch, just to give you that visual. But when you accept that it's not that it's bad, it's not that it doesn't have potential, it's just that you haven't realized it yet. How's that make you feel? And now this all switches back to my earlier point. If you're not sure how to get it from where it is now to where it hasn't become yet, you have three options. You either look up resources, you go ahead and you figure it out through just doing the work and the labor, or you go ahead and ask somebody better than you. And hey, if you want some great advice every single week just like this, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, because I'll definitely tell you how to do it better. And then hey, if you need a really wonderful group of people just like you, then definitely go ahead and check out my Discord community. It's an amazing place, people just like you, where you can go and get the helpful critique and feedback that you might need and might help you get through this not yet phase. Now, artists, I know how you'll be as soon as you start to get into that mode of like, oh man, I'm so stressed out. This is just really killing me. I'm so overwhelmed by this one. What's gonna happen? Bing, you've got a new idea. Am I right? Am I talking about you? Every single time that you had a certain part of your process and a certain point where you don't enjoy it anymore, all of a sudden, wow, look at this. You got a brand new slew of new ideas, don't you? And so when you go ahead and you go to a big box store, you're assaulted with a lot of different ideas. And some of them seem more attractive. Some of them have better marketing. Some of them have better packaging, right? And that's honestly what you're currently experiencing if you really think about it. Because in the same vein of thought here, friend, when you are going through the thickest part of your process, the part you least like, because you are a creative individual, this is what's naturally going to happen, is that your brain is going to invent something that seems more pleasurable. But tell me this down below. Do you ever go through this and guess what? Then you get propelled into the exact same situation and you just keep on going through the new thing, different thing. It's almost like if you were like jumping weight loss plans and you're like, this didn't work and that didn't work and that didn't work and that didn't work. Well, if all these things didn't work, did it not work or did you not work for it? And so what I want to encourage you just to consider is this, is that you switching ideas just because you feel less enthused is not the best strategy for it. Because then, therefore, what you're doing is you're teaching yourself a pattern of just giving up and giving into your insecurities every single time. And I also put this into the context of like, if you're freelancing, I always tell people that you got to niche down and then you can expand outwards. But just because something seems like it is a better idea at the time, have you considered that it might be a bad idea And you might think that it's a plan to just switch and switch and switch and switch and switch until you start to become like a serial dater of art ideas. That's not a plan, friend. What might be the best thing for you to do is, sure, you can juggle a few things, but if you're constantly doing this, just realize what it is. You gotta burn your insecurity blanket and just recognize that you, my friend, are switching ideas to avoid the work rather than going through it, which will actually give you the results that you want. Have you considered that? So whether or not you're a parent or maybe you know somebody that's gone through this before, then I think that this is going to appeal to you and this should make sense. So when you're going through your artwork and it's exhausting and it's very physically demanding, it's very emotionally demanding too, and there's a reason why I want to let you know why that is. Let me just put into this context right here. So through both of my wife's pregnancies, what if I just all of a sudden turned to her and said, you know what, honey? Man, I'm so sick of this pregnancy thing. I am so done with it. I am tired of you complaining about your feet, about you throwing up all the time. And you know what? Can we just hurry this along? Can we just have this kid right now? I'm sick of this. Like, you're complaining about this and you're complaining about that and these crazy mood swings. Look, I know it's been like 4 months, but like, can't you just have this thing? Like, what do you think she would do? First off, I would never say that to a pregnant woman because I probably wouldn't be here right now. And why is that? Because you just can't rush certain things. It just takes a certain liberal amount of time to make sure that it happens, to have that incubation period. What this pertains to is that so many times we get overwhelmed by how much time we're taking, how much labor we're putting in. And we start to see the hours and the days and the weeks go by. And we start to feel bad. Do you ever feel bad about how much time you take? Do you ever feel like you're a slowpoke artist? And so to challenge all that, here's what I really want to let you know. If you're focused on growth and you're not focused on output, you're not focused on just trying to like get as much crap as you can, draw something every single day for social media, anything like that. If you're actually interested in like the humanistic side of art, time doesn't matter. You should not be focused on how much time does this take me. That's an irrelevant question. It takes you time to learn. It takes you time to make the mistakes. It takes you time to figure out how to grow out of those mistakes as well. But if you're putting this undue and unnecessary and honestly unfair pressure on yourself, that you're just supposed to sit down and crap out magic within a given time frame, like you have some type of artistic hours of operation for them, then that's not a fair expectation. Focusing on the time is a worthless metric. Focusing on the quality and the intention of what you're doing, that's a worthful measure. And sometimes it just takes longer than others because some projects are just more demanding than others. What do you think about that? Now I'm curious to know, how long have you been an artist? How long have you been pursuing this? Or if you have a business, how long have you been pursuing that? How long have you been trying to build that, trying to get those clients, trying to sell here or there or this thing or that thing? And this next topic and this next analogy I want to offer you is like this. Imagine, my friend, have you ever had to push a car? And when you push a car, what's it like? Well, everybody that's ever had to do this, either for yourself or for somebody else, knows this. It really sucks to push a car. But here's one thing that happens. The most critical point of resistance that you expect and that you experience is always at the start of it. But once you get that going, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to push a car. But have you ever considered that the fact that you haven't gotten what you want, or you haven't hit the stride that you want, or your artwork doesn't look the way that you want, not because you're incapable of it, not because you lack the capability for it, not because you lack the talent for it, but because of the fact that you just haven't hit your momentum in it. You haven't been consistent enough with it. And let me just offer you my own personal experiences for this one. Like, for example, it took me 6 months to find my first client. It took me, and has taken me 4.5 years to build my YouTube channel up to what it currently is. It's taken me 2 years to build my mentorship up to what it is right now. And I've been an artist for 30 years. And so I just want to offer you this, my friend. How consistent are you being in order to attract momentum? Or here's another thing a lot of people don't talk about. Are you instead producing negative momentum? Because in the same way that it becomes easier for you to push a car up a hill, if you consider how much easier it is for that car to slip backwards, if let's say that you let go of the car and then somebody kicks it from the front, well, what's gonna happen? Now it's gonna roll back down the hill and you gotta start that process all over again. And what this kind of brings itself into and presents itself as an artist for you, friend, is this. Are you accumulating positive momentum by being consistent, by your practices? Are you investing enough time into this too? Like, just for example, are you in your daily life, are you spending more time consuming creations or creating your own. Because if you're disproportionately in favor of consuming, you're not going to really ever accumulate the proper amount of momentum that you need to go ahead and actually create what you want to produce, the results that you want. How's that? Because that's a big struggle for a lot of artists, and that's a choice to do that one way or another. But if you want to avoid negative momentum, let me just offer this to you, my friend. What are you doing to avoid negative momentum and to keep that car going so that you eventually don't have to be the broke down artist? Next, have you ever heard the story of Chinese bamboo? Well, if you're not familiar with it, here's basically how it works. If you plant Chinese bamboo and you go ahead and you fertilize it and you water it every single day, perfect sunshine, nothing happens for the first month. Nothing happens for the first year. Nothing happens for the second year or the third year or the fourth year. But on the fifth year, it grows at such an exponential rate. It just all of a sudden springs up out of the ground. Literally, the farmers of it will tell you that you can actually watch Chinese bamboo grow because it will grow on average 2 to 3 inches every single day. And how that relates to what you're currently doing right now is I just want to put this into practice as somebody who has been educating artists for over 15 years, who's been a self-practicing artist for 30 years. I've run my own business for over a decade. I've been freelancing for over a decade on that too. And I've gone through a lot of endeavors where I just understood this as I'm okay with this having a slightly slower approach because I understand this philosophy. A lot of times, just like Chinese bamboo, you are going to be planting the seeds and tilling the soil and tending to it without any result. But that does not mean that what you're doing is worthless, my friend. That does not mean that you don't have the potential, because what Chinese bamboo does for 5 whole years is it grows such an intense and robust root system. And have you ever considered that that's actually what you're doing right now? And what this relates to is that you have to learn how to deny your instant gratification. And I know that that's so abundant and easy nowadays. And you have to learn, especially as an artist, that what you're doing, my friend, it's not a 5-minute result. It's not a 1-hour result. It's not a 1-month result. You are years in the making, and you are never complete and never finished as a human being, and especially as an artist, because as an artist, you are far more invested into your humanity than most people ever will be. And so because of that, though, you're going to feel despair over the fact that you might not have the result that you want, your art doesn't look the way that you want, or that you might even think, I don't really have any potential. But you're also overlooking the fact that it's your daily habits, it is your intention, it is how you approach it, it is your attitude, it is how you overcome your circumstances to reinvest back into something that honestly a lot of people are afraid to invest into. And so what if you instead took a look at this and said, I don't expect anything from my art, just going back to the expectations conversations. I expect only from myself that I'm going to put in the work. And so what I want to offer you as well is my personal philosophy, which is that the work will reveal the way. Through doing all the work, you'll be granted clarity. Clarity never comes at the beginning. It comes through the situation. And so in the same way, just like Chinese bamboo, what you need to do is focus less on what you're getting right now out of it and how it looks right now, where is it yet, and your expectations, cutting through all of that, and just identify this, friend. Your result that you're doing right now will determine your results later. And in the same way that we apply the momentum effect to this, if you are creating negative momentum now, you will create way further negative momentum and permissions to give up and not get that result years from now, because then at that point, you'll just be years older, years more disappointed, and a lot less years left on this earth. Have you considered that? So can I offer you a perspective on why most people don't like art making, why most people abandon art making, and why it is so emotionally taxing and difficult for you to persist? And let's just be honest, making art, being an artist, it is such a huge emotional investment into it, isn't it? Like, it literally takes everything. Do you ever feel that? Do you ever feel emotional while you're getting it? Or do you feel emotional, I guess, one way, good or another way, while you're producing or after you're done with it too? And why is that? Well, I want to kind of put this into the analogy of a Buddhist philosophy, which is called the monkey brain. Have you ever heard of this? So what the Buddhist philosophy of the monkey brain says is that one of the hardest things for us to do as humans is that we have to turn off our chatter, is what they call it. And our chatter is that inner little like naggy voice that tells us everything, that these thoughts just come up and they detract us from our true purpose. And what they would say is they would call it your highest self. And so what I want to offer you as a perspective as to why this is going to be the way it is for you. First and foremost, as an artist, y'all, this is normal. If you've never really considered this, I want to offer you this perspective, and this is my own personal brand. You cannot separate the art from the artist, and I think all too often we do that. We separate ourselves into a camp of like, oh, well, this is just my skill, and this is just who I am and the way I am. No, my friend, that's wholly wrong. You are together. All right, you are synthesized, you are symbiotic, you are one. Even sometimes when I talk with my mentees, when I'm having my meetings, people will be like, oh, Sean, sorry to overwhelm you with this. This doesn't have anything to do with my artwork today. I'm like, no, you're wrong. It does. It has everything to do with your art, because if you feel this type of way, it literally represents itself in your art. If you've never thought about it like this, my friend, and let me just get into why it is so hard for so many people who are non-artists to commit to being an artist. Art is literally an artifact of how you felt within a given space, place, and time. And so because of that, people shy away from being an artist, or people get overwhelmed or anxious, not because of art. Don't blame your art. Your art doesn't do anything. Like my stylist, when I go ahead and I draw on it, it doesn't like just stand up and slap me across the face while I'm doing it. However, though, while you're actually in that process of production, you are going to have all of your emotions surface. And this is something that happens covertly and overtly. You're gonna have things at the front of your mind that come out. You're gonna have things at the back of your mind. And every single doubt, fear, anxiety, and here's the big thing, unprocessed emotions. And that's why a lot of people don't like the process of art, is that their mind is still, just like the Buddhist teachings offer us. And your mind has nothing to do but to process your thoughts, and also to make sure that you feel exactly what you're doing. And that's why it's so much easier for you to just latch on to like your phone, a video game, a Netflix series, anything fun or exciting, or anything that gives you more instant gratification like we were talking about earlier. So instead, my friend, I just want to offer you this. That's not a bad thing that you're feeling that way. It's not a bad thing that this happens. It's a normal thing that you've just been programmed out of because it seems weird, it feels weird. And on the other end of this, what if through doing this though, what if that helped you? What if that helped you get through that bad circumstance? What if that helped you with that hard life thing that you got going on right now? What if this actually helped you be a more empowered individual? Because that is what art can do for you. Are you willing to let it? Next, I want to let you know that in your artistic journey and in your development as an artistic human being, you cannot ever bring your old self into your new self. And this now brings into this topic of what's called the shadow self. And the shadow self is a Hebrew philosophy, and it's basically where we will devolve into what we don't want to be the more that we focus on it. And that's just easy because basically whatever we don't want to be, it's usually at the front of your mind. It's usually what you're avoiding, and it's usually what you're typically over focused on. And so when you're going to oppose the shadow self, you have to recognize that there's a better version of you, and that is not something that is impossible. It's not unattainable. It's 100% something that you can do, my friend. But you have to also learn, what do you need to let go? Because again, you can't bring your past self, you can't bring your current self into your future self. And so just to kind of let you know about what are some things that you could do, what are some strategies that you can implement, and if you're not sure what you need to do, can I offer you some of my personal examples of some things that I had to give up and some things that I personally had to do in order to achieve a better version of what I was capable of and avoid my shadow self? Well, if so, I made an entire video for you right here. Go ahead and check it out. If this helped you, share with somebody that you know. Thanks so much, and see you next time.